Bonjour classe! Bienvenue dans la classe de français 1, leçon 2A. You guys were already on lesson 2. Let's see what we've got. On y va? Et bonjour. Classe, déjà, vous connaissez comment dire bonjour, comment dire salut, comment dire ça va bien, ça va mal, ça va comme ci, comme ça. You guys know a lot of things to start some conversations. Now let's talk about some of the different people that you know and how to describe who they are. Voici des personnes. When I say voici, that's just like saying this is or these are. Voici des personnes. Can you guess what that word means? Here are some people. Classe, écoutez et répétez après moi. Un garçon. Un ami. Un copain. Class, this little guy here is un garçon. That means a boy. He is also un ami. That means a friend. And he is un copain, which is another word for friend. En français, they have kind of two levels of friendship, and I think we have that here too, but they actually have two different names. Un ami is someone who is like your very close friend. We tend to not have a lot of amis because they're the ones that you can confide in, that you've known your whole life, people who are just your closest BFFs. That's un ami. Un copain is just more like, yeah, that's a friend of mine, someone I know from class. Sometimes we hang out, sometimes we don't, but we're friendly with each other. So it's different than your closest friends. But both of them are friends, and he looks like a friendly little guy. Now let's compare un garçon, un ami, un copain with this little girl. Une fille, une amie, une copine. Almost the same words here with ami and copine. The word for girl is fille, une fille. And then the word for friend who's a girl, une amie, une copine. Class, you're going to start to notice that as we learn more and more about the French language, that they definitely distinguish between masculine and feminine, singular and plural, when they're talking about people and things. So they make a big distinction, not just between the words boy and girl, which we have in English, but also the word friend, un ami versus une amie. Do you see the difference? It's a very subtle difference, but notice that for the girls, une has an E, amie has an E. That doesn't change the pronunciation, but it does make it feminine. Same thing here. Up here for the boy, it's un copain. But when we're talking about a girl in French, we say une copine. Écoutez et répétez. Un copain, une copine. Voici la différence. And then we have a few adults in their lives. We have un monsieur, un monsieur, un prof. He is both a sir, a man, a mister. Is that what we would say? And a teacher, un prof. Like the word professor, but prof is just teacher. And also here we have une dame. That means a lady. Notice this word dame is the same as in the word madame, which we talked about last week. Madame. It's kind of like m'lady, madame. Une dame is a lady, une prof is a teacher. But again, when it's a man, they say un prof. When it's a woman, they say une prof. Okay, super bien. So let's see how people might talk about each other. If they're walking down the street with a friend and they see someone they know, they might say something like, Tiens, voilà Jean-Claude. Qui est-ce? C'est un garçon de ma classe. C'est un copain. How much of that can you understand already? I bet there's quite a lot that you can understand already. Let's start off with this very first word, tiens. That's a vocab word for this week. Tiens is just like saying, hey, check it out. Hey, voilà Jean-Claude. Voilà, very similar to the word voici. Voici is like saying here is or this is. Voilà is like saying there is or that is. So it's like here versus there, but basically the same meaning. Voilà, Jean-Claude. There's Jean-Claude. Her friend asks, qui est? Qui est? Can you guess what that might be just based on the context of their conversation? Qui est is like saying, who's that? And then her friend answers, c'est un garçon de ma classe. Well, we already know un garçon. C'est is like saying that, that is. C'est un garçon de ma classe. That's a boy from my class. I bet you could guess the word class. And then she says, c'est un copain. Do you remember what un copain is from the previous page? A friend. C'est un copain. That's a friend. Let's see another conversation. Tiens! Tiens, voici Madame Andrian. Qui est-ce? C'est une dame de mon école. C'est une prof de français. So now they see Madame Andrian. Tiens! Hey! Here's Madame Andrian. Voici Madame Andrian. Qui est-ce? Do you remember what that means? Qui est-ce? Who's that? C'est une dame de mon école. Now we have this word from before, une dame. De mon école. Mon école means my school. So if she says, c'est une dame de mon école, that's a lady from my school. C'est une prof de français. Une prof, a teacher. What kind of teacher? What does this person teach? Français, juste comme moi. Très bien. So now you can talk about people that you know. We'll have some conversations together in class. Let's remember the difference between masculine and feminine. It's very, very important in French, and we don't make these distinctions quite as often in English, so it's sometimes tricky for us to remember, but super, super important in French. Masculine, un ami, if you're talking about a boy. If you're talking about a girl, who is your friend? Une amie. Voilà. Continue. Which one's this going to be? Fille. Is it un or une? Une fille, féminine. That means a girl. And garçon means boy, so you can guess it's going to be un garçon, masculine. What about for a lady, a woman? You would say une dame. And for a man, un monsieur. Très bien. Here are two different words. They both mean friend. One is masculine and one is feminine. Une copine. Copine. Notice it ends with an E. That's the feminine form. That's a friend of mine who happens to be a girl. And then here's the masculine. Un copain. That's a friend who is a boy. Oh, and this one's already done for us. Un prof, une prof. And the reason is because the word prof is the same. You can't tell the difference unless you say un versus une to know who you're talking about. All right, class, we'll go over some of this in class, but if you take some time right now, maybe pause the video, what could you say about these people? Qui est? Voilà une fille, une amie, une copine. And what could you say about the guy there? Voici un ami, un copain, un garçon. Practice with the video and on your own saying the different vocabulary words. Describe these different people. Who are they? Same thing here. Who are these people? They're adults. They look like they're teaching something, maybe. Maybe you recognize this guy. Voilà. Un monsieur, un prof. Et voici une dame, une prof. Très bien. The last thing for this week are numbers. You guys, we've done a ton of things with numbers. We're still working on them. Keep practicing, keep repeating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are your base numbers that you really need to know in order to continue building. And we're going to build some more this week. So last week we worked our way all the way up to the number 60. Do you remember what it is? 60. 60. So here we go. This is how it's spelled. Soixante is how it's pronounced. So if this is soixante, well then we can probably logically guess 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66. That one's a little tricky to say. 67, 68, 69. Normally, when we get to this point, we would switch to a brand new number. But guess what? The number 70 doesn't really get its own number. The number 70 in French is a combination of 60 plus 10. You guessed it, the number 70 is 60. 60, 10, 70. Well, if this is 60, 10, 70, guess what 71 is? It can't be 61, that's already taken. It has to be 60 et 11. You guys, what number is 11? 11. We're going to keep adding 60 plus 10, 60 plus 11, 60 plus 12, which is 72. 72. Up here in the 60s, it's 62. But here in the 70s, 72. Simple math, but you have to do a little math to count in the 70s. So what's the next one? 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79. That's where we're going to end with our numbers because there's a lot going on here. And so we want to keep building on what we've already learned. Keep practicing that counting. All right? Work with your numbers this week. Also go back and look at how to talk about different people. Who are these people? Do some practice. Remember the difference between un and une, masculine and feminine. Go over these dialogues and get ready for class next week when we're going to talk about our friends, talk about each other, who we are, and what we already know. Classe, merci. À bientôt. Et au revoir. Oui, mais